Okay, so I'm gonna go over a good example of how other dimensions of reality and mystical forces work for creating happiness, and how this would play out if you spoke to people anecdotally. And now I could give two opposite, polar opposite extremes of a spectrum to best get an idea into somebody's head. So, for example, like in the Bible, people had anecdotally figured out a long time ago that our relationship with God brings us happiness. People don't know why or what, or they just said it and wrote it down, and most people probably never read it again. And basically, if you went to a place like jail or prison, so you could think of your reality almost like you're living inside of a sphere, and that's like your consciousness, and it's constructed out of energy, and that energy vibrates at a certain frequency, and the vibration of love feels good. If you went to like a jail or a prison and you spoke to the prisoners, they would probably tell you that they're suffering and living a worse life than the people working hard all day, which doesn't actually make sense, because these people are working in the jail as correctional officers and this and that and doctors, and this guy just sits down all day and relaxes, and you would think that he would have a better life. He doesn't have to do anything. They just serve him food like a king, and even though the food's not great, he's the one being served. It almost looks like a restaurant and a hotel, but a really bad version of it. So you think that the prisoner would be happier than the people incarcerating them. But if you talk to the prisoner, they would probably tell you that there's almost like a void of emptiness that they live in. And to make this really simple, it's pretty much because God is not very happy with this person. So they don't get something called God's love, which is a vibration. And then if you talk to, let's say, the guy working in corrections that sits there with like the pepper spray, and they like regulate the whole environment in there, and break up fights or whatever, attack people, they work as the correctional officers. You could speak to them and they would tell you that they have like a warm sense of love, and it's hard to get through to people if they don't have sensory access to other dimensions of reality like me. But the words energy, frequency, and vibration make a lot of sense to people, and they can really relate to them. They have the vibrational frequency of love and God's love more than the people in prison. And why? Because basically mystical forces can alter how we feel, and to make it really simple, God is just like not very happy with the prisoner and more happy with the man who works hard all day every day to support his family and feed his children and do all of that. And it would seem like a void of emptiness. There's like no vibration inside of it, and it's like a sense of suffering to the prisoner that the people working in the prison don't really have. So you would actually make good choices to be happier in life.